Good morning. I'm Tanuja Bahal, and I'm here today because I want to make sure that every child growing up in the Valley gets to experience the diversity of arts and culture that we are so fortunate to have in our midst.
I was attracted to this initiative because it was really working on what we can do outside the K-12 education system. Connie talked about leveraging what we have. I truly believe in that. We've got some amazing institutions already here doing great work, and we need to take advantage of that. I want to just ask a question of all of you, a couple of them. So it's the what if. Think for a moment about what Silicon Valley would be like in 5 to 10 years if we invested in this region's most important assets, our children. Or when we look back in 5 to 10 years, what would Silicon Valley be like if we provided an arts experience for every child in a continuum, from tots to kids to teens? The teams we've assembled and we'll introduce to you in a bit are all committed to digging deeper into this what if question, because we believe this is really the game changer. Creativity beyond the classroom for tots, kids, and teens is going broad and going deep.
Nearly 2 years ago, the Santa Clara County Office of Education worked with the 32 school districts in our valley to create its Arts Education Master Plan. It became clear that there were 2 focused efforts of this countywide plan. The first was the pre-K through 12th grade in-school arts education initiative to focus on professional development, advocacy, and funding. The second was an out-of-the-classroom community focus on arts, education, and experiences. It is this second effort that the First Act Silicon Valley was empowered to lead, and I am very excited to see its clear path beginning to emerge.
So what we're talking about is really connecting existing youth arts programming with one thing everyone cares about. Let's go to the next slide. Our kids. We keep talking about this leveraging idea. It's leveraging what we have, not reinventing the wheel. And really, it stems from this vision. High-quality arts experiences available to all children. And our vision is grounded in what we're calling the 3E's. You'll hear more about these and examples of them, but exposure, exposing all children to a wide variety of arts activities and experiences. Engagement, developing deeper, longer-term connections and ongoing practices in specific art forms. And exhibition, making children's imagination, ideas, and accomplishments visible, creating spaces and places in the community landscape for showcasing their creative work. Exposure, engagement, exhibition.
So imagine my surprise coming 3 years ago to head one of the largest arts agencies in the country, actually, in our community schools network, and finding the openings for and the need for and the deficits in public education in the arts. Unlike anything I'd experienced back in Connecticut and New Jersey and Pennsylvania where I grew up and my sons grew up. So this First Act initiative and bringing together of folks such as you and the folks that we've worked with in Retreat has been a remarkable experience, giving me hope that we can stop working in separate little silos and start bringing ourselves together and adding up to more than the single parts. So we have a way of looking at a framework for success. As Michael said, we talk about this in terms of 3E's. Exposure is going broad, trying to reach as many people, children as possible. Going deep is engagement. Once you've got them, where do you take them with particular experiences? And exhibition is really celebrating and demonstrating what we believe in. Here's a snapshot of some statistics coming from the County Office of Education. And they're really quite remarkable when you take a look at them. The demand for arts experiences is real. So we have over 255,000 students enrolled in K through 12, the 396 K through 12 schools in the county. Over a quarter of those Santa Clara County students are English language learners. Over a third of them qualify for free or reduced meals. That's 88,000 students. So this is one of the ironies for me coming from out of state, that we have state standards, but we infrequently have a way to actually deliver them. It's not because we don't want it. 89% of us think that arts education classes should be required along with English, math, science, and other courses. So the need is there, the perception of that need is there. So lastly, I just want to speak about the ways in which this program will be rolled out over the next 3 years. In this first year, what we've worked on is creation and seeding. Tanuja mentioned this wonderful retreat that a number of us enjoyed several months back down in Santa Cruz, where we got an opportunity to sort of be think tankers for a couple of days and sort of shape these ideas we're presenting today. That was where the creation of the basic framework came from. There's so much happening in this valley, so many tremendous resources that already exist. So rather than reinventing that, we wanted to do an inventory of the existing programs, because there's hardly an agency among us that isn't trying to do a piece of this. But as Connie said in her opening remarks, we can't do it alone. Even an agency the scale of mine, which is one of the 10 largest community schools in the country, we're reaching 13,000 students a year. I don't mean with a one-shot deal, but with a curriculum taught by professional teachers. Even that's not enough. It's an insatiable need. So this is all year one activity. And the investment has already been made of $50,000 to make this part happen. In year two, starting to percolate, incubate. The leadership teams co-creating 5 scalable plans with partners on the board: the Tots exposure engagement strategy, the kids menu of exposure to the arts, kids engagement strategy, teen at-risk engagement strategy, and an exhibition strategy, again following that matrix or grid that I spoke to before. In year two, we also need to work on the cultivation of a legacy gifts program for scaling the program, testing micro-donor module campaign. I like the idea of a nice, broad, shallow pool of support as well. Sustainability models and order of magnitude. How big can we get in what kind of timetable? The investment here estimated to be $300,000 to be raised. $100,000 is already raised due to our friends at Adobe and the Packard Foundation. And finally, in year three, the ramp up, the execution of these plans. Incentives to engage a wider arts community. Again, can't do it alone. Let's provide reasons for people to join and realize that there's strength in working together. Partnerships and collaborations are leveraged, and we're always conscious of keeping track of, are we successful? So what are our measures of success? And finally, that's a multi-million-dollar annual campaign that will sustain to the end of time, right? So
we've already got a whole host of people who have stepped up to say that they want to participate and lead this effort. The Todd Exposure Engagement Leadership Team, recognizable names and fantastic organizations, from the CDM to First Five to the Office of Ed. The Kids Exposure and Engagement Leadership Team, Jeffrey's going to do double duty. He's going to be on this team as well. Lisa Gonzalez, Ann Hurst from the Children's Musical Theater, and Andrew Bales, who you'll hear from in a moment. Our Teen At-Risk Engagement Leadership Team, Joel Slayton and 01. Some of you in this room I know have been deeply involved there. CineQuest with Kathleen Powell and Angie Helstrup Alvarez from MACLA. And our exhibition partner, Suzanne St. John Crane, is the Executive Director of Create TV.
One of the things that this whole project, the idea of the tots, the kids, the teens, those influenced by their parents, by the teachers, and by their own self-direction. That's a systemic approach, and it thrills me to see it. I'm tired of seeing pilot projects rolled out for one group or another, hitting a few kids. All of those work, but they're never scaled up to serve the whole community. Scaling up to serve the whole community is such an emphatic and important thing to do. I'm not interested in a pilot project. If we can't give every kid some opportunities, then I think we've missed the boat. We've missed an opportunity to change the culture.
So we're setting ourselves up for a bright future. As Jeffrey talked about, this becomes an annual campaign for the arts. We look at micro-donor strategies as well as legacy givers, corporate philanthropy, and the public sector. Funding to create scalable plans, as Andrew just talked about, identifying budget goals for years 3 and beyond, which is really our next steps, and the leadership team will be working towards. You heard it from Andrew. This is not a pilot project. It's scalable and intentionally systemic. It's moving beyond the rhetoric of valuing children and to pool our collective resources and actually do something for children, ensuring that our children grow up with the arts.